Hey guys, Reza here from Budget Audio Chrono. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube. Life's been catching up on me and I'm catching up on my video reviews. First, apologies to CCA CRA for a fairly late review of the CCA CRA. I just want to say that this is a $15 knockout champ. The CCA CRA even beat their higher tier big brother. And I didn't quite understand sometimes, Chi-Fi is like a box of chocolates, just like how Tom Hanks said it in Forrest Gump. So you don't know what you're going to get out the box. But this is a beautiful surprise for anybody who wants a budget gear. To me, I would classify the sound of the CCA CRA typically as a hi-fi sound, maybe not audiophile in that sense, but you do get that high fidelity sound within such a cheap budget. Okay, I'm going to dive down into the review straight away. The CCA CRA checks all the boxes for my personal use case scenarios, and in terms of the sound preference, I'll put it right down into the description below so you can have an idea what I like to listen to and why my use case is such, because I travel a lot on the subway. So the sound coming from the IEM is typically has to have a bit more bass. If not, the bass gets drowned out because of the train. But any which way, right at the bottom of the description, you'll be able to read my listening preferences and use case scenario. Audio chain for my test. Alright, so these are the items. The camera here, I've changed the camera. This is the Vivo X60 Pro. It's fantastic. I love the photography coming from the X60 Pro. I have used the J Kelly JM20 DAC for this test, for this audio review. I have put it together with the 4C Audio N2 amp as well. And I have also used the standard USB dongle DAC that came with the Vivo X60, which I think is the same CS DAC chip that's on the J Kelly JM20. So I think the only difference would probably be amplification. The JM20 has better amplification versus the X60 Pro dongle DAC that came with the phone. So that's pretty surprising that the sound signatures are similar. If you amp the basic dongle DAC from the X60 Pro, I believe you get a similar sound, just like me driving it through the JM20. Now, just a bit of background in terms of the music source that I listen to. I've gone back to Spotify on very high quality and stopped using Tidal and UApp, because after 15 months with Tidal and UApp, I personally found insignificant differences between Tidal's supposed MQA quality versus Spotify's very high quality. In fact, I do find Spotify's very high quality is more pleasing to my ears. The MQA sound does get a bit tinny and maybe a bit sharp. I don't know, maybe a little bit more artificial sounding. I'm just not too sure what it is, but for my use case, I'm not too particular about micro details and so on and so forth. So Spotify very high quality works well for me. Alright guys, the CCA CRA exceeds my expectations for such a budget pair of earphones. It is a very well done V-shaped neutral warm tune IEM. You do get a lot of details on this guy here. It's pretty surprising. I'll go with 3 adjectives: punchy, boom, smooth, and very clean. Alright, instead of the regular bass, mids, and trebles. The CCA CRA is able to demonstrate these 3 adjectives very, very well. Let's go through punchy, okay guys? So bass tuning is super well done. Alright, bass tuning is super well done. I say bass is punchy and clean without any unnecessary boom. It's this bass tuning that allows the overall sound to have that clean, clear sheen to it, right? Perfect in my opinion at this price point, regardless of genre. Bass remains an excellent feature of the sound. So as compared to the TRN TA2, which is almost double the price here, the TA2 has a bit more of a boomy bass, a bit more vintage speaker sound, but this guy comes off really clean, not to the point where it's sterile or sharp or anything like that, but it's a super nice high fidelity sound. All right, let's go to smooth. The mids tuning are again just perfect for me, though they looked recessed on the graph. So if you look at the graph from the manufacturer's advertisement on AliExpress and all that, it seems that it is a very recessed mids. To me, it doesn't come off that way. I find vocals are clear and present with a smooth presentation without the usual upper mid glare and blare. So it works well for both female and male vocals, alright? So it's rare that you find an IEM that do both successfully. The transition between bass, mids and trebles are perfectly well done without any sudden dips or surges in frequency loss and gain. And yes, when I say clean, just like this shell here, it looks super good, right? So these guys look great for photography. So if you're into photography, the CRA has a fantastic shell for you to enjoy taking photographs of it under clean. All right, treble extension is really good, crisp and shimmery edge the cymbals without sounding harsh or sibilance. Now there's a transparency to the sound that's surprisingly high quality at this budget range. I'll lump imaging together, all right, with Soundstage here as well. So if you listen to Amber Rubaf's Tundra, all right, the instrument placement is super precise with a holographic Soundstage. It's quite a treat for a $15 pair of earphones. Now, yes, the CRA surprisingly has that holographic around the head kind of a soundstage and over the head kind of a soundstage instead of, you know, compressed right in the middle through just this lateral line here in your ears. You do get that overall around your head sound, which is quite interesting for such a, you know, modest budget earphones here. Alright, so the CCA, alright, managed to pull off this kind of sound without sounding fake like the Kinera Sif. For example, the Kinera Sif had a soundstage that sounds artificially pulled apart and, you know, it just doesn't sound too good. Whereas this guy is done so well that you do get a sense of both width and depth with the CRA without sounding with that fake pulled apart soundstage. Alright. Coming down to some little tiny details like timbre, for instance, as long as nylon strings sounds like guitars to my ears, they are okay. So, for example, some IEMs, even though they might be dynamic drivers, the nylon strings will sound metallic or overly plasticky, and that's no good. Timbre for the CRA, really solid, so I can listen to Struns and Farah and really enjoy that nylon string sound. Alright, drivability. Do you really need, alright, an amp? Now this guy, typically on you know, Facebook, he's quite an interesting character. So he does get into people's noses here and there, and just by looking at the specs, he says, oh, okay, this guy's 24 ohms is going to be rough to, you know, 34 ohms. In fact, 34 ohms, it will not be able to be driven properly with a mobile phone. At the point of time when I got the CRA, I still was using my Samsung Galaxy S10, and yes, the CRA is able to run very well direct off the Samsung Galaxy S10. I don't need an amp. Now, here's the thing though, when you buy an IEM, you can get a general consensus by joining different audio groups and ask for opinions. If majority says it doesn't need an amp, it doesn't need an amp. If majority says it needs an amp, yes, it needs an amp. For example, the Tanjim Tanya. Okay, the Tanjim Tanya is on the contrary. Alright, I think it says it is just 16 ohms likely, the Tanjim Tanya. But this guy is so hard to drive. I have to use an amplifier to drive the Tanya. Okay, this is super hard to drive now. When I run this on my Samsung Galaxy S10, I have to go close to, you know, 85% on the volume of the Samsung Galaxy S10 just to run the Tanya. So there we go, like 16 ohms versus 32 ohms. The sensitivity is about the same at about 105 plus or so. But yes, this is so much harder to drive, and it's surprising. See, specs don't say it all. You do have to get a general consensus from more people who have used the product, and if it's a reasonable budget, try it out for yourself. It's not a $100 IEM, it's not a $200 IEM, it is a $20 IEM. Well, the Tanya costs just a little bit more, but for the CRA, it's a $15 IEM. Go ahead, try it out. To me, I think this is a fantastically, you know, if there's such a word as fantastically tuned budget IEM. Okay, so yeah, specs don't say everything, and with this case, I can even drive it with a stock dongle deck from the X60 Pro, and it works great. Comfort and accessories. The CRA works out of the box without any need to swap out ear tips. Alright, this is the stock ear tips. I don't have to mess around with ear tips. The Tanya, I had to mess around with ear tips. Cables, here's the thing though, I think CCA did a fantastic thing with the cables. These cables are of a vastly different quality than its other Chi-Fi counterparts, like TRN for instance. Alright, we're just going to flash it on the screen, you'll be able to see it, okay? So, comparing the quality of the cables. So, these cables are very supple. They are thick, and then they are designed to have this separate left and right split here. Looks really good. The cables all the way, there's no weaving, etc, etc. It's a really clean design for the cables, and I do like how the cables can be wound up. Watch. Okay, and it easily untangles. Okay, and you don't have any issues with the IEM getting massively tangled when you just simply coil this up and put it inside your pouch, because I carry a tiny pouch and I just roll this guy up in my pouch and I chuck it in my pouch. So I just roll it this way, it goes in my pouch like that, and I take it out and I simply just, you know, give it a good shake and everything comes apart this way. So on top of that, I would say the ear hook design is fantastic. Some of these ear hooks, for example, the cables that came from TRN, they are wound so tight that the moment you put it on your ears, the IEMs get pulled out of your ears. I think it's really stupid. So these guys here, these are fantastic. They are, again, nice and soft. They have the ear hook that fits very well around your ears. You can pull it in, out slightly. Yeah, so I think CCA did super good with the cables. If not for the high quality design of the IEM shell itself, in terms of the faceplate, in terms of the sound quality, just the cables alone, I think they are at least well worth what, maybe $5-6. I think it's really worth paying $5 to $6 for this pair of cables here. Okay, now from the supply ear tips are very good. They give very good seal. I don't have issues. The supply ear tips nice and comfortable. In terms of its nozzle length, I think some issues with other IEMs where the nozzle length is too long. This guy's, the nozzle length is just about right. So I think this guy's maintained the position in my ears really well. Okay, so overall I give the CCA CRA a 4.5 out of 5. Sometimes I do get a little bit of a fit issues. It's probably my ears that cannot fit this universal shape here, so I do get some gaps, and I need to readjust for that perfect seal before I get out and enjoy my music. But that's just being nitpicky, and 0.5 stars just for that thing. Other than that, I think the CCA CRA at a similar price point, you have the TRN TA, and the TA is quite a disaster compared to the CRA, and these guys did super well. To sum up, guys, the CRA is an excellent product to have come out at the end of 2021 for budget audiophiles to start off 2022. So there we go, wrapping up at about the 14 to 15 minutes mark. I hope there's more than enough information for you. To me, I highly recommend the CCA CRA. Go get it. Great job, KZ, for the CCA CRA. Take care, stay safe, enjoy the music.